But we begin with the Fox News alert on Hurricane Matthew. The storm pounding northern Florida as it closes in on Georgia and South Carolina. Welcome to the second hour of Happening Now, everybody. I'm Jenna Lee.
Still a very dangerous storm. I'm John Scott. Take a live look at Jacksonville, Florida, where the eye of the storm is passing by just offshore. Parts of Georgia now under mandatory and voluntary evacuations. Hurricane warnings stretch well into South Carolina. We have Fox team coverage. Jonathan Sari standing by in Folly Beach, South Carolina. First, though, to Garrett Tenney. He's live in Jacksonville, Florida. Garrett.
Yeah, John and Jenna, we are still an hour away from feeling the full brunt of Hurricane Matthew, but even now we are still seeing gusts of 50 miles an hour. An hour from now, those will go up to 60, 80, even 100 miles per hour. While the winds in their own right are going to be dangerous, that's not what officials are most concerned about. That's the storm surge. You can see here, this is the St. Johns River that runs right through downtown Jacksonville and goes all the way out to the Atlantic Ocean. Now, with this, as Hurricane Matthew comes through, at the full brunt of it, we will see 6 to 9 feet of storm surge downtown. If that happens, you can see this bridge over here down at the end. If it rises 6 to 9 feet, as it potentially could, that is going to cover the end of that bridge. It's going to cover up over these railings and come down over to here to where we are. Now, in the neighborhoods, that's going to be all up in people's homes, their backyards, covering cars, garages. That's why officials have been telling folks to evacuate. They say, do not play around with this storm. If you stay home in these evacuation areas, for the large part, you're going to be on your own because we don't know how quickly we will be able to get there to help you. 450,000 people have been ordered to be evacuated. This morning, officials said they're still not sure how many folks followed through with those evacuations. They say hopefully around 50%. Many of those other folks, though, along the beach said they are going to be staying there in their homes, and that's where the worst of this storm is going to be hitting in about an hour from now. And we'll be keeping track as officials keep an eye on that storm, and especially those beachfront communities. John?
You mentioned the river behind you, Garrett, and that's got to be one of the big worries because that storm surge pushes right up that river and far inland.
No, absolutely. And the officials have said that really they're not quite sure how bad the damage is going to be in a lot of these communities because, frankly, many of these areas have never seen flooding before. That is how historic they are saying this hurricane is going to be on the area. And along the coastline, they said this storm will essentially redraw the coastline for much of Florida. John?
Well, we're lucky at least that it's staying mostly offshore, the eye of the storm staying offshore. So the worst of the winds are not hitting land, at least not yet. Garrett Tenney in Jacksonville, Florida. Thank you, Garrett.
We'll continue to monitor what's happening in Jacksonville. So far, the forecasts have been fairly accurate. Hurricane Matthew steering east of the southeast coastline.